Yeah, go on, Jack.
Cool. All right. What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football. I'm obviously here with James, but we've also got Stuart with us today. Stuart, do you want to just do a quick intro? Tell us what you're about.
All right. So my name's Stuart. Currently doing a master's degree in performance analysis. I'm an intern at Coventry City, working with the first team in under 23s, and I'm a Chelsea fan. So I'm obviously gutted about today. But we'll get into that, I'm
sure. You're also a huge Coventry City fan as well, obviously.
Yeah, for now.
You brought it up, and I think obviously the kind of key reaction that we do want to get kind of at the top here is Lampard sacked. I know that personally for me, I kind of mirror this with conversations I've had with James over the past couple of months with Arteta. So in the current position at 9th, is there, if you're going to sack somebody, do you still feel like whoever comes in, chances are it's going to be Thomas Tuchel, but whoever it is that comes in, are they going to be able to make 4th? Or do you think that there's too much ground lost at this point?
I think first and foremost, going to the sacking, I think that nobody, as heartbreaking as it is as a Chelsea fan, I think that nobody should be surprised. The way we treat club legends is a disgrace. Look at the Di Matteo 6 months after winning the Champions League, gone. Jose Mourinho in his second spell, sacked as well. And both times that happened, a little piece of me died with my support to the club, especially the Mourinho second time. I think we were 16th in the league and just write the season off. Bringing in Hiddink to the end of the season. And I'd said, I'm not going to follow the club as much. Well, I'm going to follow the club, but I'm not going to support the board as much in their decisions because of what they do and how they act. It's almost like heartless. So obviously heartbreaking about the news. I think in terms of Tuchel coming in, it's not his fault, the situation he's walking into. So I feel like he needs all the support that he's going to get. On the plus side of all this, there's no fans in the stadium, so there's no any protests or people booing or riots. So he's walking in. It's not like Rafa Benitez taking over from Di Matteo. He's walking into a clear atmosphere where he might have been on the receiving end of some criticism for no reason. So that's a benefit. I think if he gets Havertz and Werner playing well, obviously the board will justify that. Big money paid, 120 million on both the Spurs.
I was going to ask you about that. So obviously, it's no shock here that we've got a Dortmund guy, a German guy. I think he was at Mainz as well before.
Yeah.
He followed Klopp. Yeah. So and your kind of two misfiring, so to speak, signings are obviously now you've got a German coming in. James, you look like you're just really.
Also, I just want to give Ala Madrid a shout out quickly. I do agree with him. The Chelsea sacking Carlo Ancelotti was a disgrace. So I do agree with him there, but
true. But so that German dynamic, I guess what I want to kind of combine that into is kind of another question along the lines of, so is that the best guy to come in? Would you have rather somebody else come in, or if there was a clean slate, would you go, you know what, we need Thomas Tuchel. He's just finished a job. He was actually pretty good at that job, generally speaking, as good as you kind of can be with a dressing room like that. I mean, would you have preferred anybody else? Because, I mean, it's not confirmed yet, everybody watching, but it seems like it's going to be Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah. Everybody's saying it's going to be him. So, I mean, in an ideal world, if they were going to sack Lampard, then there was no other alternative of backing him and buying into this project and giving him another year or another 2 years or whatever. I would say go all out for Brendan Rodgers personally. What he's done at Leicester, I think, is incredible. Obviously, Celtic, he had lots of success there. Obviously, quality of the league. There's a big debate about that. But I even feel at Swansea and Liverpool, he had great success there. If Steven Gerrard doesn't slip, he's a hero. He does what Klopp done last season. So, in my opinion, I would say go all out for Brendan Rodgers. But obviously, why is he going to leave Leicester? They're sitting third in the league. They know they're dark horses for the Premier League, still in Europe, still in the FA Cup, and I don't know. I think that's unrealistic. So I think out of the possible candidates, I believe that Tuchel's probably the best fitted for the job. He's fresh. A lot of people are saying Allegri. Allegri's not. I don't think he's been in a job for a couple of years now. Right. So I think Tuchel's coming out. He didn't want to leave PSG at the end of December. He's come out of that job. Apparently, he's still ready. He's wanting to be hands on and be in a job. We've got new signings, German players that aren't performing, aren't firing. He seems like the obvious choice. My only worry is that if he obviously walking into the situation of following Frank Lampard, it's also, although Frank Lampard's not regarded as a successful manager, he didn't win anything with us, unfortunately. But following in the footsteps of him with all this backlash that's going to happen, I don't know. And he's going to be judged on the exact same as what Lampard's been judged on. He's going to be judged on the performances of the new signings, even though they're not his. He's going to be judged on trying to get the best out of these players that we've signed.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but do you guys feel that this was already in the making like 3 weeks before? Because I felt that they were waiting for him to be sacked by PSG and then bring him in. Because looking at the result and looking at the way it was going with Chelsea, as soon as something turns wrong, you always know what's going to happen there. I feel like Thomas Tuchel was the guy, as much as they don't say it, but a German-based manager with a few German-based players that they want to get the best out of. You always just felt that they were just waiting to pull that trigger.
Yeah, 100%. And the way that these things go, there's always a roundabout of managers. So there's always an adverse effect if one manager sacked. Obviously, like you've seen it with Rafa Benitez, he's left that Chinese club. Now he's been rumored with Newcastle and Celtic. So, these things happen. And when he was sacked, like a part of me.
That's all I'm going to say. Who wants to take the Celtic job?
I know, exactly. Stay away from them. But nah, in all honesty, that's the effect it has on certain jobs. So when he got sacked, part of me had thought I wouldn't really want him in. It's not that I don't want him in. I was wanting us to buy into this Lampard project. I thought that we had turned the corner. I thought that we were stepping away from this hiring and firing managers.
Can I quickly? I just want to, because I do have a question because. And James and I have talked about this. Chelsea are, generally speaking, a very, very successful club. There's going to be a title, at least 1 or 2 titles every decade. There's going to be a strong European performance, be it Europa League, be it Champions League. And by strong, I mean, you'll probably, chances are you might win one. Yeah. And it's been done off the back of this kind of savage, you've slipped up once for a little bit, you're gone. It sounds to me, and I don't know if you can shed some light on this as a Chelsea fan, probably knowing and interacting with other Chelsea fans, maybe a little more than me and James. Are we kind of saying at this point that this whole kind of, soulless, heartless way of just sacking off managers is not good for the fans anymore? The fans are ready now to be patient with somebody who may not have success for 3 years and then come good at the end? Is that where Chelsea fans are at now?
Yeah, 100%. So the ones that I've spoken to, especially last season, losing the players that we lost, arguably one of the best players in the Premier League of the last decade, Eden Hazard, losing him, not being able to replace him, Lampard coming in, aging squads, bringing in the likes of Mount, Abraham, Tomori, Billy Gilmore in the end. You're never going to win the league with those players right now. In 2 or 3 years, they might be the finished product. 2, 3, 4 years time. Hudson-Odoi as well. So in my head, I was like, I want to believe that he's going to come in. We're not going to win anything for 2 or 3 years, similar to what Klopp done at Liverpool. But after that, he's going to create a team which can push Liverpool, Man City for the league. He's going to create a team which can compete against Bayern Munich, Barcelona for the Champions League. However, in saying that, last year, with the overachievement, I spoke to lots of people last year about obviously the title race at the start of the season, and I wasn't confident. I said Chelsea would finish 5th or 6th, and most people were the same. I didn't speak to many people at Chelsea in the top 4 at the start of last season, especially after the 4-0 opening day defeat against Man United. So the fact they got 4th, he overachieved, got us in the Champions League. I feel like if he finished outside the top 4 last season, his job would be safe. His job would be safe for this season, but that raised the expectation of the board and obviously backing him all that money. But go back to your question there, the fans, I think the fans are wanting that, especially when you've got a club legend like Lampard in charge. You want to see him succeed. You want to see him given time. I'll go back to Brendan Rodgers, who I was speaking about previously. Yeah. He was at Watford and Reading, I think, before he got the Swansea job. And both those jobs he wasn't that good at. He'd had bumps along the way. I know someone who's a big Reading fan, and they had said he made some very questionable decisions, and then he gets the Swansea job, and look what he does. But
I just quickly, James, I personally believe, and this is a very short-sighted decision. Or opinion. I haven't done lots of research into this. I think Klopp. I think Rodgers is one of the best coaches in the world, like a top 3 coach, like in the world. I really do. But it's as a manager where I think he kind of lets himself down.
I'm just on the call.
Which I think he's trying to get better at. That's kind of the idea here. So it's just funny to say that he was good as a coach, but decision making let you down. So what I want to just do quickly, I want to ask James a question, and then Stuart, get you to kind of react to James's reaction. So James, we're getting to the second half of the season now. First half of the season was Frank Lampard. Chelsea are 9th. They are up to game week 19. They've played all 19 games. It's 29 points at the moment. Several of the teams above them still have games in hand. Thomas Tuchel comes in. James, what is a realistic expectation for this Chelsea team now? What should Chelsea fans or just general Premier League viewers be expecting now from this Chelsea team in terms of a finish and in terms of the way they're playing?
Well, at the summer, Frank Lampard was told after signing all these players that they want to close a gap on Man City and Liverpool. And the fact of the matter is that they weren't doing it. But looking at the results throughout this whole season, if I'm Chelsea, I don't see Chelsea finishing in the top 4. A talented side, but do you really see yourself getting above Man City, Liverpool, Leicester, Tottenham, and who else is in there? Man City. No. I think if you're looking at a realistic finish for Chelsea, 5th or 6th,
Stuart, what do you kind of make of that? Because I would look at it as, does this Chelsea team want to be in the Europa League? You want to be playing Thursday night?
I don't think they can get. I don't think obviously they want to be in the Europa League, but this is the way the Premier League is this year. The fact of the matter is that Chelsea have been poor against the top side. They've really struggled to beat the top sides this season. And looking at Thomas Tuchel coming in, can he give confidence to Timo Werner? Can he give confidence to Kai Havertz? Yes, but do I really see them taking Chelsea all the way to the Champions League spot? I don't see it. I feel like there's 4 or 5 teams stronger than them this season.
Stuart, what do you expect from Chelsea now, the second half of the season?
I think what James said is spot on. Like you can't expect us to climb over the teams that he's mentioned there. Man City look like they're on a rampant run now. United looking strong. Leicester as well. Liverpool going for a little blip, but they're probably going to come strong again. I can't see them falling out of top 4. So realistically, you're not gonna. The points gap between us and Leicester. Leicester's the one team, but the points gap's too much, I feel. The one thing I would say on a positive note is it's one of those seasons where any team can have a bad run. Like last month, we were top of the league. We had just demolished Sevilla 4-0 away from home. Lampard was, getting Klopp was saying Chelsea are favourites for the title. Lampard was getting, praised for everything, and we sit here 5 weeks later and he's gone. So things can change really quickly. It depends the momentum and the results that Tuchel gets instantly. We've seen it in every club. You get that new manager bounce where you win the first 2 or 3 games, and they've got Wolves and Burnley next 2 games. So that should be an easy 6 points. If Werner gets a couple of goals and there looks to be a lot more confidence, you would say that they've got a case to push that top 4. But I think that the gap that is now, I think it's 5 points. But we're not going to win every game between now and the end of the season. So I feel like the teams that are above us, I can't see us finishing in the top 4. I think we'll be 5th or 6th at a push.
I think the only kind of other sorry, James, go ahead. You want to say something?
Oh, and this is coming from a guy. I think I tipped Chelsea at the start to probably finish 2nd, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that they won't get top 4 right now, but it just shows you the difference. As Shirt said, Chelsea can go on a 4 or 5 game winning run, and then they could all just be in the race and even be in the title race. You never know, but looking at the way it is right now, it's so hard to predict. But I just can't see it.
So my kind of question now going forward is, obviously you've got Chelsea fans who are kind of yearning for this Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, potentially in the future type thing, a Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United type thing, trying to think of kind of another potential example for another team, but Wayne Rooney at Everton in the future, who knows? Yeah, Arsenal. Arsenal legend. But I'm just wondering now, is this going to damage John Terry? Maybe wants a management job one day, a top coaching job. Is John Terry going to look at a Chelsea job and go, man, I don't want to go and then get sacked within a year and then not have a chance to coach the team that's my team? Is that going to put off some club legends at Chelsea? Because I mean, if you could say anybody was stainless in kind of Chelsea fans' eyes, you'd say top three, probably I don't know, Drogba, Lampard, Terry. Frank Lampard's probably top of that list, and obviously they were pretty cutthroat with him. So I'm wondering, is somebody like John Terry now going to be put off?
I'm not sure. I mean, how often do you get offered the Chelsea job or one of the big six jobs? So I mean, I've read a lot of people saying Lampard took it too early, but there's no guarantees that he would have another good 3 or 4 years with Derby, and then if he got them promoted to the Premier League, and the Chelsea job would be there. We might have got someone in who's built something really, really good and strong, and the job might not be available. Or on the flip side of that, he might have a bad season at Derby, get sacked from Derby, and then you've got no chance to get a job like the Chelsea. So I feel like he had to take it. I feel like it is an important time for these managers, the Lampards, Artetas, and Solskjaers, because they're all club legends, and if all three of them don't work out, or all three of them end up leaving the job with no success, or what's deemed as a failure, like Lampard's will be, lowest points per game as Chelsea manager. So the stats don't lie, but I think there needs to be context around it, and I think that going forward, it depends. I mean, it depends. I don't think it should put the likes of John Terry off, but if it's not worked out with Frank Lampard, if in 3 or 4 years' time John Terry's available and he's had a successful season wherever at a smaller club, people will now point to that and say, "Oh, it didn't work with Lampard, so what makes you think John Terry's going to be a success?" So it gives people something to stand on to say something against it. And today's been absolutely distraught, it's been heartbreaking. So I would say it's not worth going through this again. So I would try and avoid using club legends. I think Mourinho as well. Mourinho's the reason that I'm doing I'm want to be a football coach. That's how much inspiration he was to me. And when he got sacked the second time, I was just like, I'm done. You can't keep supporting this board that are just. And I know it's successful. That's the one reason they get away with it, because somehow it seems to work. You sack Mourinho, you get Conte, and he wins the league in his first year after the team finished 10th.
Right.
It doesn't happen anywhere else apart from us. But to be a part of it and to see club legends getting treated so harshly, it's not. I look at the long term, the next 10 years, and think it's not that good anymore. Back in the day, we had the strong teams. We had that spine of Cech, GT, Lampard, and Drogba. So any manager coming in, they had that character there. I look at this Chelsea team. Mount is the only one that looks like he's got a bit of leadership about him, and he plays with the badge. He plays for the badge, him and Aspie. But you don't look at that and think those 3 or 4 lads are going to sort this mess out.
I do think Tammy Abraham gets disrespected. I mean, what's over 10 goals so far this year? He's starting to score goals, I think, that you may not expect from him. I think that, I would be, certainly for me. So I'm a Roma fan, and we have 2 great kind of younger players. Lorenzo Pellegrini has probably taken over from Deco as captain, and Nicolo Zaniolo keeps doing his ACL. But if I had a young Primavera striker come through who was Italian or in Tammy's case English, and was doing that kind of thing from a Chelsea academy, who historically is quite wasteful of talent, usually just farms them out on loan kind of thing, I'd be absolutely buzzing. So I think Tammy Abraham is somebody who, quite disrespected. I know Chelsea fans are dying for it to work with Werner. Part of the reason Tuchel probably came in. So James, I've just got a question for you real quick. So Frank Lampard gets sacked, okay, but this is all after Fikayo Tomori goes on loan to Milan, who announced Mario Mandzukic on a free and Tomori on loan with an option to buy for 30 million euros. If Tomori's as good as everybody's saying he is, as Frank thought he was, as I know the Chelsea fans regard him as, it seems strange to me that you'd change the manager. It seems strange to me that you'd send one of your great assets on loan with an option to buy for 30 million euros, and then a new manager comes in who might be his best friend. Maybe it would be a Thiago Silva Tomori partnership here, because I'm telling you, if Milan go on to win the league in Serie A this year and Tomori plays a part in that, Milan are ripping your arm off and they're paying that 30 million. It just seems strange to me.
I feel like Chelsea are smart, and that's to me what's called great marketing. If he is so good and like I don't doubt Tomori's a talented player, but if he's that good, why is he not starting week in, week out? It's smart enough for Chelsea to raise the stock of a player. Why? Because they can sell him off for more. And like for me, that's what they're doing like with this Tomori situation. I'm not gonna come here and tell you that I know so much like about Tomori, but I know one thing about Chelsea is that when it comes to running a club, they are very good at that. And then they've always been like great selling on the young players, and it's the exact same thing with Tomori. If I was an Arsenal fan and like you tell me you take a youngster right now that we're not really keen on, and we can sell him for 25 million, that's absolutely great business. To me, that's being genius on Chelsea, man, if I'm being honest.
Okay, fair. I mean, Stuart, you got any kind of? It strikes me as really strange if somebody who's potentially a starter, a first team player, you're just going, okay, bye. Now we're changing our manager. It's just weird to me.
It's really strange. I mean, the only thing that I can say in defense of that is they must have spoken to Tuchel before. Like you said earlier, like this has been in the works for a couple of weeks. It feels like even today, the news story broke like 2-3 hours before he was sacked. Like, how's that happened? He wasn't allowed in the training ground to say bye to the staff or players. So it's all been handled. It's all been planned. It's not all happened this morning. So, I mean, in terms of the Tomori, Tuchel must have been briefed and he must have been asked his opinion on it, and he must have been like, no, that's fine, you can send him on loan. The one thing I would say as a whole, I get what James was saying about selling players and making profits. Last month, the accounts come out for the profits and stuff in the Premier League, and Chelsea had made, can't remember what it was, but they were in the profits by between 20 and 30 million after spending 230 million in the summer. So that shows you how well they are run. But on the flip side of that, if you look at Nathan Ake, I know he's not getting a game at Man City, but we sell him at Bournemouth for peanuts, and he's he's signed for Man City 40 million. We do it with players. We've done it with De Bruyne, Salah. We sell players. What we need to start doing is when we sell players, have buyback clauses on them. Because tomorrow he'll go to Milan, and I can see him flourishing there. Look at Smalling when he went there. Was it Roma he went to, and like he played it just looked like a completely different player. I'm not sure if that's because there's such an emphasis on the defensive side of the game in Italy, and they're getting completely different coaching, which is benefiting them as defenders, or maybe they're playing in certain systems, which is allowing them to shine. But you see Rudiger going there, and if Rudiger signs for AC Milan, 30 million euros, 2 years' time, if he's that successful, he's going to go to a City or somewhere for 80 million, you know?
Or Juve.
Then, you're not allowed to question it from the point of view, okay, you have Thiago Silva there, who's 36 years of age, in Rudiger. I think Zuma is a number one centre-back, but Thiago isn't going to be there for a long time. So why are they selling them then? I genuinely do believe that they probably see a future of, okay, I don't think he's as good as we think he is, but if we can get this type of money from him, we'll go for it. And then you look at what's going on with centre backs nowadays. Upamecano is like one of the most talked about centre backs in the world, so that might be something Chelsea will look at in the summer.
I know what you mean. I think for me, it's Chelsea should have kind of dug their heels in with that option to buy. It's such kind of a small amount for somebody who I know that they are very, very high on. I know they rate him like they would somebody like maybe a Hudson-Odoi when he was coming out, or maybe a Mount. They really do think he's special and capable of starting for this team at some point. So just a strange one for me. That's all. So I guess kind of to move on ever so slightly and getting into the end of the year. I mean, do we think this is going to work out with Thomas Tuchel? I mean, it seems to me like everybody's trying to look for. I look at Ralph Hasenhüttl at Southampton. Everyone's trying to get that Jurgen Klopp effect, that kind of Central Europe arm round, like understands the young player, gets them motivated, passionate. Gegenpress if we're using football manager parlance, but that kind of idea of a high intensity attacking team with this kind of charismatic manager. And like I say, Ralph Hasenhüttl I think is a great example. Thomas Tuchel very much from that form. Is that what we're thinking at Chelsea? Do we think it'll work?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that nothing says to me that Lampard didn't want to play high pressing. He didn't want to play in the high risk zones of the pitch and get the team playing one touch, two touch football like the third goal against Luton. Like that's what his whole blueprint would have been about. How do we get the team to this level? he spoke about it a few times when they got beat by Liverpool at the start of the season. And he was like, "This is where we one day want to be at, being at this level where." There's not been much money spent. It's just been expert coaching, and he's been given the time over 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, at Chelsea, you're never going to get that time. So I would love to say Tuchel is going to be successful. It depends how quickly he can get his stamp and his blueprint on the team, which now we're back to step one anyway. From Lampard coming in and all that's happened, now it's back to step one. So at Chelsea, it's all about the instant push that they can give on the team and the instant results that they can get. If he doesn't win in his next 5 or 6 games, they'll be talking about someone new for next season. So it's just that's the way it is. I'd love to sit here and say everything points to that there can be improvement. If he gets the best out of Werner, Havertz, gets the team playing well, has a push for top 4, and we go fresh next season. If he gets a few of his own signings in, I would love to think that we can be a lot better than we have been anyway. I don't know how successful we'll be. But the one thing is, if you're wanting a Klopp or Pep, you need to give them time, and it's never going to happen at Chelsea. And as we've seen today, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done for the club. There's no exceptions. One reason Pep Guardiola never ever came after we sacked Di Matteo in 2012, I think it was, towards the end of the year. Pep said, "I don't want to join a club that's gonna sack me after one bad season." Goes to Man City, has an appalling first season by his standards, and then they've got such a good project and blueprint there, and we're just not like that, and it's worked for us. But like I say, we've had the players in the past, we've had that mentality in the past of being winners and having always winners in the group. Not many players in this Chelsea squad, Thiago Silva, one of them, but he's sort of past his peak. Not many of these are in their prime element where they're hungry winners.
James, I know you want to kind of get in quick, but I'm gonna just ask you a question, and maybe you can kind of piggyback off that. Thomas Tuchel leaves the dressing room of Neymar and Kylian Mbappe and these like kind of highly paid, highly valued kind of personalities who, much in the way of a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Leo Messi or these kind of big prospects within sport, can really kind of decide where they play their football and kind of can hold the club to ransom because of how powerful a figure they are within the dressing room. Thomas Tuchel's now entering a dressing room which, apart from Thiago Silva, and obviously we know he's getting on a bit, this is kind of a dressing room that doesn't have really very many kind of powerful personalities which he'll have to handle. Is that going to help him in any sort of way?
Well, going on history for Chelsea, when you actually look at the whole totality, when they bring in the manager, the first thing that they get is an instant boost. No matter who it is, they get an instant boost, right? Even Phil Scolari during this time, or like Villas-Boas. Generally, you get like that 2-3 month boost, and then it goes down. And the rest of the month, you always get that boost. But with him, for me, it's a difficult situation because I don't think he did that great of a job at PSG. I felt tactically at times he was poor. I remember watching the game at Anfield and having Neymar and Mbappe there, and still struggling to beat that Liverpool team. Also, the way he works with stars doesn't seem to work. I do understand like Chelsea have upcoming players, but the way he dealt with players in PSG wasn't something that I was impressed with. And coming into a Chelsea team, you know that when it gets toxic, it really gets toxic. How is he able to deal with that? I feel for me that's going to be a big thing for him. Personally, if I'm looking at this situation, this is a Chelsea cycle that's always going to continue. I see him being in Chelsea job for a year and a half and then just getting the ox, if I'm being honest.
Kind of Stuart, I guess to kind of close off a little bit here. I mean, is this cycle going to end? Like, just my take very quickly is I don't think it will. I think as long as Mr. Abramovich is in charge, that this guy has invested more money than I think kind of any owner in the history of the game into the club. He loves the club. I think he feels kind of that the club owes him success, owes him trophies, owes him popularity and a high status football team. So for me, I think as long as Roman Abramovich is there, I think this will always be the pattern. Do you think at any point there'll be a change, or do you think this is always?
No, 100%. I think you're right. I think it's always going to be this way now, unfortunately. Like I say, last year, when they sacked Mourinho for the second time, part of me just died in terms of supporting the board and supporting the decisions, regardless how we won the league the season after that. But when Lampard had come back, it seemed like all the support and all the stuff which was diminished from me in terms of how I felt about the board, all that was starting to come back. We're playing youth players. We'd bought into this project. We weren't worried about results on the pitch as much. We weren't worried about how competitive the team were across different competitions. We knew against Bayern Munich we were going to get absolutely blasted away. We knew FA Cup final. Well, we had a good run to the FA Cup final. Didn't win it, but everybody gave Lampard the benefit of the doubt because of the transfer ban, because he was working with so many great young players, and it seemed like the club had changed their stance, and this was going to be entering a new era where it was going to be the Lampard project 3 or 4 years time. So after today's news, and even go back, even over the last couple of months when there's been a defeat, when we got beat by Everton and Wolves, I've been checking the odds on Lampard to be sacked, and it was always quite high up. He was always like in the mid range of next manager to be sacked. Didn't look like it was going to happen. So I was like, great, they're sticking by him. I'll accept as a Chelsea fan, finishing outside the top 4 of the season. I know it's not ideal. Nobody wants that, but let's support him. Look at Klopp's first 3 or 4 years at Liverpool. So that was from my personal view. Others will want instant success, but in a league of Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, you're not going to get that necessarily. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to change now, unfortunately.
So final question, and I guess we'll kind of round off here. So James, I'll come to you first. Fans in the stadium, coronavirus never happens. Obviously, Chelsea is still where they are. Do the Chelsea board have the stones to sack Frank Lampard if fans are at Stamford Bridge?
Jack, it doesn't matter who is there. We're talking about Chelsea. Like generally, they are the most ruthless. I said that the hardest job in football, to me too. Obviously, the Barcelona one too, but the Real Madrid job and like the Chelsea job, you need instant gratification. And regardless of who you are and what you've done, Di Matteo got sacked after delivering Chelsea the biggest prize in club football. Mourinho, who brought success, who for me, if it wasn't for him, Chelsea wouldn't be where they are today. He's been sacked twice. So no matter who you are, they don't care. They need success. And the fact of the matter is that you look at the last 15 years, 16 years, most successful team in England in the last 16 years, it works. So you can never complain about it. You can say, oh yeah, we've had a lot of money, we've had this, we've had that, but when you win Champions League, when you win 5 Premier Leagues, when you win Europa Leagues, when you win everything, they do what they do and it's successful.
The thing is, like, see in the future. Yeah, see in the future when we look back at this time, nobody's going to talk about, unless it's Mourinho, like the Mourinho era, the first era and the second era, but it's going to be the Abramovich era. No manager's been there long enough to have built that team and to deliver success. Ancelotti come in, like won the league and FA Cup in his first season. Di Matteo won Champions League after taking over March, April time. They've all had like their short spells of success as managers, except for Mourinho. I think in total he's been there 5 or 6 seasons. So you can maybe look at him, but it's going to be looked at as the Abramovich era of that 20 years or however long he's here for. I do feel like they might have waited to the end of the season with Lampard if there was fans in, if it was a normal world. But then, like James says, it is Chelsea. I mean, if they were feeling the same way, nothing's going to stop them doing it. They don't care about fans.
If Jesus Christ was in charge of Chelsea, he would still get sacked. That's just it's the way Chelsea have been. Like you look at the array of managers, and we're not talking about average managers. I know. I'm not talking about average managers. We're talking about some of the greatest managers in the world. Carlo Ancelotti, Conte, who I think is absolutely incredible. Phil Scolari, who's won a World Cup with Brazil. Mourinho. We're talking names. Yeah. They've all got hit. Just remember, Sarri was in charge like 2 seasons ago. He's already gone. He's got sacked twice. But that's just the way Chelsea is.
He's still getting paid by Juve.
I genuinely don't think fans will make a difference because my thing with Chelsea fans is that I honestly felt that they were split with this. They love Frank Lampard. They love what he's like. They love what he's done for the football club. But ultimately, Chelsea fans have been spoiled with what they've seen in the past 15 years, and all they're used to is like success. They want to see someone who's going to come in and give that success? Did they really believe Frank Lampard was going to be the guy?
All that I'd say though, James, is if Man United get rid of Solskjaer, it's not Man United getting rid of Bobby Charlton or Wayne Rooney or Paul Scholes or Ryan Giggs, or Liverpool getting rid of Steven Gerrard. Like, you know, that's kind of the comparison. I think if Solskjaer goes, it's like, oh, shame. Like he obviously gave us some great moments, but this is like, I would say this is the kind of the head on the mantelpiece for Chelsea. You know.
Yeah, he's my favorite ever player. On you go, James. Sorry.
But for me, with this issue is that I don't think Chelsea really wanted to do it, but they just but the way that they are and like the way that they're programmed, they need instant success. Abramovich never comes and speaks on a coach, regardless of who it is. He came out and brought out a statement today. It just shows you like the respect that they have for Frank Lampard. But he knows, for the sake of his football club, he wants Chelsea to be competing. I think it hurts him every single season when he sees teams like Man City and Liverpool dominate. He wants that, you know, and if he's not getting it, especially with the money he spent, that's just genuinely what's going to happen.
Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. Guys, thanks for chatting with me on here. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. James thinks that Jesus Christ himself would get sacked.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Chelsea are ruthless. Like it's incredible. But guys, Chelsea fans, tell me what you think about this issue right now. Did Frank Lampard deserve to get sacked? We just have a little comment here. Just there.
That's a whole nother topic. That.
Yeah. Also by Man United, a Man United fan, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know where I'm getting that from, but I'd imagine that's a Man United fan. I think that all that stuff, though, is going to suit where we're at with Chelsea, personally. Like, I think all the stuff he said there, I think it's a dressing room now without the ego. And I think Thiago Silva may have had an ego before, but this is a guy 35, 36, 37, getting on now.
He's managed them as well. He's already managed them at PSG.
So there you go. So yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. So I think that that whole touchy-feely personality thing. I don't know if there's going to be a big fallout. I don't know, which personality at this Chelsea team is going to fall out with Thomas Tuchel and live to tell the tale. I don't know who that would be.
Yeah.
Also, please subscribe and like show us a bit of love and like subscribe as much as we don't want to get into that politics. Not today, but guys, thank you all for watching. Also, I want to thank Stuart for coming on today. He's a good friend of mine coming on the show. As you can see, he's a passionate Chelsea supporter, upset about Frank Lampard. In football, it is what it is. I say it, and everyone else says it too. Football is a results-based business, and if you're not doing the job there, I think Guardiola said it today. If you're not doing the job, then and there, you're going to get sacked. Everyone knows that. Fortunately, it's Frank Lampard today. But tell me what you think. And with Tuchel coming in, does Timo Werner, does Kai Havertz get that bounce? What happens with Mason Mount? I think that's a big issue that we need to talk about, because I think he's a brilliant player. But when new manager coming in, will we see him in the Chelsea lineup as much as we did under Frank? But guys, tell me what you think.
He'll be gutted. He's Lampard's son, eh? He'll be gutted.
But do you not feel like he's a player that, to me, out of all the Chelsea players, out of all the youth ones, he's developed the most and has showed such a high level to the point that I think he's undroppable personally. But I don't know how you felt about that. Do you feel so?
He's my favourite player. He's my favourite current player anyway. I think what brings it is just he's from the academy, but it's his attitude, it's his eagerness, it's his energy, it's his positivity, the way he speaks. He is like a baby Lampard. He's a true professional. Apparently, he's the hardest worker in training. He never switches off when we lose possession, off the ball. He's maybe not as easy on the eye as a Jack Grealish, or he can do the fancy flicks, or he maybe doesn't create as many chances, but he's so effective in the energy that he gives in the middle of the pitch. That I think he is undroppable, and he was named captain yesterday, and it's heartbreaking. Like Lampard's first game, he scored the first goal, and Lampard's last game, he scores the last goal, and he's a captain. And it was just obviously it's the way it was meant to end. But Yeah, Mason Mount, he's got a good future, but if Tuchel comes in and doesn't like him, that's it. It's one of them where he'll be gone. And at Chelsea, we've been craving getting players through the academy. We've not had it for years and years and years, and we've craved it. And now we've got it. I don't want to see Hudson-Odoi get sold. I don't want to see Mason Mount getting sold or Tammy. I want us to sit by the academy players and build around them. So
tomorrow to Milan.
yeah, exactly.
You're not. To be fair, you're not wrong. Listen, we all do agree with you. Like that's the way Abramovich is. But also remember to hit that subscribe button. Help support the channel. Guys, I guess we're done with today. Everybody, thank you for watching. Jack, Stuart, thank you guys. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We'll catch you next time, and we are out.
Thanks very much.